Sir, that adjutant we recovered is down in the lab. She's all powered up.
Talk to me, you old piece of junk. What do you know?
User identified. Raynor, James. Ex-Marshal, Marsara Colony. Joined Sons of Korhal Terrorist Group. Status, criminal.
Enough about me, darling. What else you got locked up in that synthetic head of yours?
User status, criminal. Access denied.
Playing hard to get, huh? We'll see about that.
Ladies and gentlemen, each night I bring you the news in the most fair and balanced manner possible. But tonight I have a commentary. Some have asked me what the difference is between our leader, Emperor Mengsk, and the traitor Jim Raynor. They point out that Mengsk rebelled against the government of his youth and came to power through the use of violence and subversion. Why is it wrong for Jim Raynor to rebel in similar fashion? There is a difference. When Emperor Mengsk began his revolution, there was no threat hanging over humanity. James Raynor is waging his revolution while we are at war with 2 alien races. James Raynor, have you no conscience? Shouldn't you fall in line, putting your petty complaints aside as we struggle for humanity's very survival against this alien menace?
Everyone's a critic. Robbing a train again get you feeling nostalgic?
Damn straight. We must have hit the Shell Express a dozen times back in the day. Ah, that keeper never got old.
Almost got us killed when they smartened up and started using outriders to chase us.
Never was a man of 'em could keep up with you on a vulture, Jimmy. Just added to the fun. How the hell you got a job as marshal after all that? I'll never know.
Welcome back, StarCraft 2, Wings of Liberty. This is episode 20. Cutthroat is the name of the mission we're going to be doing. Quick stop by the laboratory to cash in on some excess research. Get a little extra cash for that. And then back to the armory. And I realized once I started editing this episode, that last episode I kind of overlooked a trip to the armory before I started doing any voiceover. And in that trip I had purchased the first siege tank upgrade, which was, I think splash damage does less damage to friendly units. And now we're going to go for Maelstrom rounds and complete both upgrades for the siege tank. And the Maelstrom rounds just do basically more damage. So siege tanks are important in several missions, and they just do, I think they're just the highest damage shot in the game. So that's why we want them fully upgraded. And sorry about the oversight from last episode and missing the trip down here, but we're back on track now.
I've been looking for an encryption expert so we can access the adjutant we recovered. No luck so far.
Colonel Orlin at Dead Man's Port can crack anything. Haven't been back there in a while. Say, didn't you end up getting married last time we were there?
I told you before, if I knew what the prize was, I never would have joined that card game.
There's just something about a lover's reunion that chokes me up.
We still need to access the adjutant we retrieved from Tarsonis. Our old mercenary associate, Colonel Orlin, is an expert in Confederate code decryption. If our intel's right, He should still be based at the Merchaven at Dead Man's Port. He's not very trustworthy, but he's our best bet of breaking that encryption.
Dead Man's Port. It's risky just waiting here with all these mercenaries around. Colonel Orland's sure taking his time decrypting that adjutant for us.
Yeah, I'm getting a bad feeling about this.
Incoming transmission.
James, Orland decrypted your adjutant, but he's planning to sell it to the Dominion. Must have been something exciting in there. He wants me to keep you off his back until they arrive.
That's nice, Mira. But why are you telling me all this?
Because I like you and Matthew better than him, of course. Match Orland's offer, and I will help you take him out instead. He's paying in minerals, so I'll give you the same deal.
Done. Always a pleasure, Mira.
Don't take too long now. If Orland comes up with the goods first, I will have to side with him. Oh, and say hello to Matthew for me. Ask him why he never calls.
It's gonna be hard to get minerals down there. We'll have to find salvage if we're gonna hire Mira before Orland does. You think she'll help Orland, sir?
She's a mercenary. She'll help whoever pays the most.
What's going on?
All right, boys. We got a deal with Mira Han. Now let's get to work and get that adjutant back.
By the numbers, boy.
Okay, so here we go with Cutthroat. And this is a little bit of a race, at least at first.
Pirates have been stripping down ships here for years. It should be pretty easy to collect enough scrap to pay Mira off.
Okay, so you get the idea. The adjudicant that we recovered in the last mission, we sent it to Orland for decryption. He's going to try to double-cross Raynor and sell the decrypted info to the Dominion, and he's hired Mira Han, who is somewhere in the backstory Matt Horner's wife or something like this. This is kind of a
Add-on complete. Insufficient Vespine
an
gas.
interesting, funny wrinkle that must come from some deep backstory, like the novels or something that we don't know about. Certainly wasn't in the games. At any rate, so we got to beat Orland to 6,000 minerals in order to hire Han's
Incoming
mercenaries.
transmission.
I left a little present out here for you and Matthew. I never got to give it to him last time you boys were here.
Damn, Jimmy. Are those vulture bikes?
Good eye, Tychus. We can use them to lay mines around our base to hold off Orland.
Okay, and here is the new unit for this mission, Vulture. It is a motorcycle. It's considered a vehicle, and they're pretty fast. They don't have a lot of firepower, and they're pretty fragile, but they do lay these mines. That's their special ability. So we put the mines out at the two entrances, and you can hear right there a bunch of enemies just ran into them. So that's good. And, similar to, say, the Devil's Playground, remember that mission where the more we spent, the more our goal was delayed? You can see each time I, construct a building or buy an upgrade or make a unit, my mineral count goes down. So I'm spending what I'm bringing in just to build up a force. But if we can shut down Orland and his production, then we'll be fine. And we need to spend the resources to do that.
Those shredders are constantly producing scrap we can salvage. We should check this area again later.
That's fine. Will do. Outstanding.
Mineral field depleted.
Okay, so that's the first of 3 of Orland's bases. And then we also
Base is under attack.
got the first of 3 Protoss relics for research. It was just hiding behind some scrap.
Mineral field depleted.
It's go time.
And that was kind of a close call. I lost my vultures and almost all of my units, but I fended off that attack. And, you know, I've shut down one of his 3 mineral earning bases. So now it's mercenaries to the rescue. Hired a few quick groups, and I can just get right back at it. There's the second Protoss relic.
Mineral field depleted. Mineral field depleted.
Forward to it. Go, go, go!
And unit and strategy wise, it's going to be a mix of Marine medic in the beginning. Now that I have siege breakers, you can see them getting set up here. They're going to kind of just be my little base defense, just those 2 siege tanks. I'm going to go Marine medic plus Marauder,
Upgrade complete.
almost exclusively mercenary groups here, to strike out these first couple bases of his and stop his mineral production.
Been waiting on you.
From that point on,
Base is under attack.
and once we get, you know, Mirahan's mercenaries hired, we're going to get a whole bunch of units from her that I use as kind of a push force. And then toward the end, I'm going to have a little bit of a surprise for you. You know, like a secret unit that you haven't seen yet. So maybe you can think about, you know, which one that'll be.
Gateway coming through. I'm on it. Orders received. Affirmative. Looking forward to it. Roger that. Got it. Will do. Can't wait.
Okay, there's our third
Gateway coming through.
Protoss relic. So bonus objectives are complete, and we'll have that extra
Sure thing.
research that we can sell for cash at the end of the mission.
Orders received.
Base is under attack.
Been waiting. Of course. Can't wait. Oh yeah.
Okay, that was his third
You got it.
sort of mineral producing base, if you will. He has a main base, and we still need to destroy that. But
Got it.
he had these 3 extra bases out there that were producing minerals for him, and we have
Will do.
taken those away. So his mineral production, Orland's mineral production, is going to slow down
Affirmative.
quite a bit. Not completely, but quite a bit. And as long as we don't spend too much, ours will be fine.
Gateway coming through.
Now, we're not going to be able to relax too much
Upgrade
because he is
complete.
still getting some as we keep going. So, going to have to send some SCVs out to these other, you know, mineral deposits, and then keep scavenging like we're doing here, moving around the map and, you know, getting these salvage parts, some extra minerals here and there.
Will do. Oh yeah.
Our SCVs are under attack. Our SCVs are under attack.
Oh, it's on.
So you can see there that
Sure thing.
that little attack force Orlan sent wiped out my SCVs, which is not good. But my siege tank totally just, you know, blasted the invasion. I did hire some more mercenaries, the Marine mercenaries and the Marauder mercenaries.
You got it.
And I didn't really need them right away. You know, the siege tank killed everything. But I'm going to need them eventually, so it's fine. It's not a waste that I sent them or that I summoned them. And they're just kind of hanging out, and they'll join up with me later.
Why not? By the numbers, boys. Orders received.
Base is under attack.
I feel you. This better be good. Outstanding.
So unfortunately, that was bad micromanagement. I should have just pulled those mercenaries that I spent minerals on back to the siege tanks. Instead, I had left them out there thinking, oh, I've got upgrades, I'll kick ass. And then they just got wiped. So it ended up being wasted money.
Why not?
But we're almost there, so no harm, no foul, really. You can see we're just about to 6,000, and then we can proceed with the rest of the mission.
Sure down, Sparky.
Upgrade complete. Upgrade complete.
You got it. Sure thing. Can't wait. Yes, sir.
All right, Mira. We both know you're ripping me off, but I'm gonna hire you anyway.
My forces are yours, Jim. I'm so glad I got to side with you and Matthew.
Oh, you scheming little. I'll show you what happens to double-dealing backstabbers. That's fine. Looking forward to it. I feel you. Roger that. Gangway, coming through. 10-4.
So you saw over there, Mirahan's forces are pretty extensive. Now I'm gonna keep collecting and doing some things on my own. I have some other plans for this, you know, mission. Like I said, a secret
Base
unit.
is under attack.
But what I'm gonna do with Mirahan's forces is kind of group them up and then use them as a big giant kind of push force. And I'll combine it with mine. It's going to be a lot of siege tanks, Marine medic, Marauder, etc. We're going to be using siege tanks and then this secret unit, which I'm really building up here. I hope it's worth all the build-up. But at any rate, we're going to kind of do a two-pronged attack where these guys are going to meet in the middle. I'm sending this group around from up top, then I'm going to send Mira's group from the bottom. Meet in the middle, and then, you know, take it to this guy.
Upgrade complete. Upgrade complete. Not enough minerals.
SCV ready. SCV ready. Need something blowed up? SCV ready.
My pleasure.
SCV ready.
On the move. How devious. Victory is ours.
Okay, so got them in place. They kind of took a beating from some of Orland's Ravens there, which sucks. But
Yeah.
most important, there's 2 intact siege tanks and some Goliaths in case some more
Roger.
airborne enemies come at us. They can shoot them down. Now, what am I making here, Devitron?
I'm going.
I've queued up 2 Shadow Ops and a starport. Now, we haven't seen Shadow Ops.
We hear you.
And
Yes, sir.
probably wondering what those buildings do. It's a prerequisite for the secret unit type, right? You can probably guess.
What's that?
I'm going to go ahead and finally make Spectres. You need Shadow Ops in order to build Spectres. You build Spectres just at a basic barracks, but you need all the other prerequisites like
Upgrade complete.
factory and Shadow Ops, etc. So, finishing up my upgrades here. As for the starport, which didn't look like it got started, I think I intend to build science vessels so that I can repair my mechanical units. Okay, so that's what happened is my build queue got interrupted because he couldn't, my little SCV wasn't able to build where I told him to.
Whatever.
So 2 Shadow Ops and then the starport.
We hear you.
The Shadow Ops, you just need 1 in order to make Spectres. But to use their secret ability, special ability, you actually need a separate Shadow Ops building per unit.
Give me orders.
I mean, technically you can recharge it. It'll make more sense when I show you what I'm going to do. So just sit tight. I'll explain it better later when you can see it.
Go ahead. Got no patience for sitting around. And do. Armed and ready. Affirmative.
So you see what's happening here is
Orders received.
when my guys are down there, my siege tanks are set up,
What's the plan?
they don't have line of sight. They can't fire at enemies that are up the ramp, you see? So when I just sort of scoot my guys up there and get line of sight,
Excellent.
then the siege tanks are able to fire.
I got a little present headed your way.
And you see that big red
What's our target?
targeting reticule on the circular vents there, up on that level. Guess what that is? Boom. That is a nuclear strike. So, I don't think he fires it ever again. So, as is appropriate with any arms race, I'm going to bring nuclear strikes to the table here, Devitron.
Upgrade complete.
So
Upgrade complete.
that's why I was making multiple Shadow Ops, because with each Shadow Op you can research a nuclear strike, right? And then you use your Spectres. Remember when we did it
Go ahead.
on Tasha's mission where he kind of,
Lay it on me.
he had 6 available and then he set a target. Well, that's what regular Spectres can do too, but they only get 1 nuke per
Nuclear
silo.
missile ready.
And you hear there? Nuclear missile ready. So now
What's that?
I can go with a Spectre and place a, point at a target, and then it'll launch the nuclear strike. If I want to do it again, then I have to go research a
Mineral
nuclear
field
strike
depleted.
or prep it back at the Shadow Ops, which is like a silo. So that's why I went ahead and made 2 of them. I'm going to have 2 Shadows or 2 Spectres cruising around, and we're going to have a little fun with some nuclear strikes, because I wanted you to see them, and I do end up using Spectres in one other mission, but basically I don't ever use them, so I wanted you to get a chance to see them, and they're actually pretty effective in this mission, so hope you enjoy it.
I sense mercy is weak.
And you see here, they're giving line of sight to that siege tank, which can hit that. I think that was an enemy engineering bay.
Add-on complete.
Now you see those guys, the Ravens, move in and absolutely ruin my day. My 2 Spectres are dead. So, spotters make it really hard. I mean, obviously you can't just get to Spectres or Ghosts, whichever you choose,
Mineral
and then
field
just
depleted.
make that unit and crush every map, right? So they're not just the end-all, be-all, I win button. But if you're careful with them and you know what you're doing, you can move them around, use them to get line of sight for your siege tanks, and then of course nuclear missiles as well. But it takes a little practice, and you also have to know what's on the map and when should you move them up, etc., etc.
Need something blown up. Got no patience for sitting around.
I'm tired of waiting. Bring it. The time has come.
Explorer reporting.
Okay, so more problems. You saw that as soon as I targeted it, the enemy siege tank moved out of the way, and then once it was gone, it moved back into position. So then I took my second Spectre and said, all right, I'll scoot him up further and target the nuclear strike closer. Well, then he got too close to the siege tank, who had line of sight on him, because even though he was cloaked, because there was a Raven out there spotting. So it's, again, like I said, it's just not like, oh, automatic, I win, I can do this.
The rage.
You can also see why you may have asked, you have like a pretty good force here. Why don't you just pile drive in and like push in? I actually tried that on an early attempt, and on Brutal you just get wiped. The enemy siege tanks are too dug in, and they do too much damage. And
Nuclear missile.
even though it looks like a pretty wide open lane here to get in and up, see there, you're choked just enough that the enemy siege tanks really splash and kind of devastate your units. So unfortunately I have to do it this way. Use a combination of the orbital command center to scan,
One step ahead.
and then target the nuclear strike and just inch up little by little, and slow and steady.
I sense their fear.
Mineral field depleted. Mineral field depleted.
Go ahead. What's our target?
Okay, so by using both at the same time, just with a little bit more of a spread, I was able to force the enemy siege tank way out of there. And if I had known that would happen, I could have had my other forces ready, and I could have pushed in right then before he was bunkered down in siege mode. And here I'm going to lose another siege tank. Now I'm going to lose units. See what I mean? It's just that one enemy siege tank is holding up my entire force.
Just stay out of my way.
Again, I've said it before. Siege tanks are insane.
Nuclear missile ready.
So, now what I'm going to do is use the double scan again, or the double target.
Mercy is for the weak.
And then while those are about to strike, I'm going to go ahead and move my force up and get better position so that
One
when
step ahead.
the enemy siege tank comes back, I'll be able to nail him.
What's your call? Time has come.
Mineral field depleted. Mineral field depleted. Mineral field depleted.
The time has come. What's your call?
Mineral field depleted.
Bring it. Like me. Just stay out of my way.
Okay, so you can see much easier with the siege tank out of there. Now I believe there's one more on the upper level.
Ready to plunder.
And I'm going to go ahead and bring in some Viking mercenaries, you know, my faithful Hell's Angels, because they're always good. I'm bringing them in to attack
Nuclear missile
those
ready.
pesky
Beat the rage.
the ravens, which keep spotting. See, it's hovering right there on the rail.
One step ahead.
And they'll spot for the enemy and cause my specters to die. So I'm starting out here with a couple of nukes just to clear some things out. Unfortunately, nukes don't hit aerial units, see that? So gonna try to take them out with some Hell's Angels. Meanwhile, queuing up more nukes. So again,
What's your call?
a better player would be so done with this mission like 20 minutes ago. And I'd actually never used Spectres or Ghosts and done these nuclear strikes before, so you're seeing a little bit of a learning curve, and I apologize for that because it's making the mission too long. But at the same time, it's not completely unnecessary. I mean, if you try to push up in there, you're gonna get wiped. There are just too many enemies in the right spot with the higher ground and the line of sight and
Nuclear missile ready.
insane siege tanks. So the Blackburn are slow and steady, thoroughgoing thoroughness, methodical. Will win the race every time.
Come on already. I like it.
all right, I surrender. Just take your damn hatchet, all right.
I ought to do the universe a favor and put you down, Orlin. It's too bad I might need to hire you someday. Mira, do me a favor. Keep him on ice.
You got it, Raynor. I will keep the snake safe and sound for you. I will even do it for free.
Okay, so a little longer than it had to be, but some fun use of the Spectres and nuclear strikes. StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty. See you in the next episode.